Musical Talk, the UK independent musical theatre podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Musical Talk. My name is Nick Hudson. First of all, a big thank you for your patience as we fiddle around with our feed trying to get it working. We will get there. We're still going to be putting new episodes out, so do be on the lookout for those. They will, of course, be on our website and on YouTube and mentioned on Twitter and Facebook. This week, we have a short episode where I had a chat with Tonia about Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. A film I haven't yet seen, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I was delighted to sit down with Tonia to hear what she had to say about it. Tonia, hello.
Hiya.
You've been to see Mamma Mia 2 recently, haven't you?
I went on opening weekend with my mum.
Yes.
With my Mamma Mia.
You went again. And we're talking about the film here. There's the sequel to Mamma Mia, one of those rare things, a sequel of a musical that actually works.
Yeah.
The reviews for this have been jolly good. And I guess my first questions for you is, do you think that's because we've had many years to fall in love with this musical, that a sequel... Because I don't think the reviews were... I can't say if the reviews were good or not for the first one, but they probably weren't, knowing the critics.
There was a lot of love from audiences for the original film because it is just a cheese fest and people love that. They like to escape and have fun, for a few hours. And get lost in this film. But the problem with the critics when it came to the original film was the quality of the singing and some of the...
It wasn't...
Yeah. And also the fact that it's quite ridiculous, really. But it's just fun, and I think that's what a lot of the critics couldn't buy into about the original film, is what it's just fun. And I think that's why it's captured so many people's imaginations, because it's just... an incredibly fun film, and I think that's why the musical on stage did so well, and there's been so many different productions of it all over the world. People love it, and also people love the music of ABBA. ABBA seemed to be popular in so many countries around the world. It was never going to be a failure, and a sequel is something that any studio would put the money behind because it's going to be a hit. The original film was such a hit, the sequel is definitely going to be.
I and many others are wondering if it'll ever do the natural thing and open on stage.
A lot of people have been wondering that.
Because at the moment there's Mamma Mia, and then there's the Greek Mamma Mia restaurant dining experience where they have the story revolving around you on this Greek island. So we've got another production of Mamma Mia happening. And it'd be cool if they did like a sort of Harry Potter style, come and see the sequel / prequel / whatever the hell this timeline is.
You see, it's a bit confusing because I call this a bit of a prequel sequel.
Yeah.
I've nicknamed it a prequel sequel.
Prequel.
It's prequel because the majority of it is set in the past. The majority of it explores Donna's past and how she came to be pregnant with Sophie, which leads to the original film, the first film, or the original musical. So it would be a bit strange, I think, because so much of the second film involves the past.
Let's Mamma Mia, the original one, the sequel, then go and see the first one that's the second or something.
I don't know how it would work. But, I mean, the film is incredibly enjoyable. A lot of people have been saying it's better than the original film because I think it's a lot more knowing. A lot of the actors that are involved in it know they can't dance or they know they can't sing, and they seem to be making fun of that and having fun with it. And I think they're obviously having so much more fun the second time round because they're getting the chance to do this again, and they probably didn't think they would. So I think in many ways, many aspects, the second film is better.
But you haven't seen it on stage, have you?
No, I've not seen it on stage. I think it's purely down to the fact that there've just been more urgent things to see. And it's not going anywhere, is it, Mamma Mia, anytime soon? So
it's been on for 18 years.
It's not going anywhere, so...
Well, it's like all those shows, isn't it, that don't go anywhere. You can just say, living in London, we haven't really been to St Paul's Cathedral because we know we'll get there one day. I guess what the film did really well was it did show the fun and camp aspect of the show. That wonderful image in the film of everyone just... all those chorus boys in flippers jumping into the water. And I haven't seen the second film yet, so I hope it has... more of that, dare I say. It
has a lot of that, and in fact I think the choreography is even more inventive than the original. There's some wonderful sequences. One in particular that I really loved was the Waterloo number between young Donna and young Harry. It's just so much fun. I just grinned from ear to ear watching that because it's so fun. I just wanted to be in that restaurant dancing with them and just doing silly things the whole entire time.
Do you think the original story is a bit stupid, though?
Well, is it that unrealistic,
Because everyone says nowadays just look online, but it's not set nowadays. That's what's...
Yeah, but just, I don't know, the 70s seemed like a pretty crazy era to live in in many ways. Apparently it's a really good era to be young in, was the 70s. So people were... Have you asked me? I think some sort of survey they did said that, people were happiest in the 70s when they were, it was a really good time to be young in the 70s.
Yeah, just all the strikes and the heat waves and just like now, really. Obviously the thing with jukebox musicals is you put songs... You load the show with hit songs, and then you're left with kind of... This probably sounds like Act 2 of Viva Forever, when you're just left with the dross that people don't really know, unless you're a massive fan. What was the song choice like in Mamma Mia
I was
2?
worried about that, because I think they used up a lot of the really, really well-known
Yeah, they did.
songs.
You think of any ABBA song, it's in the first film.
Yeah. There were a couple of songs which were not in the original film. I think there's a song called The Name of the Game, which was in the original soundtrack, but it wasn't in the film, I think. That was in this film, and that's a relatively well-known ABBA song. Cher sings Fernando, and that's really well-known, and that wasn't in the original film.
I love the fact that she turns up, just to make it even camper.
Yeah. They recycle a lot of the original songs that are really well-known. Like Dancing Queen is in the new film, but it's kind of like a nod to one of the characters that dies. I don't want to spoil it, I'm not going to say who it is. And it's sort of like... it's like in honour of them, almost. But there are also songs that, for example, that are recycled, like I Had a Dream. We know that Sophie sang that in the first film, and you see her mum singing it, but as her mum being younger, so as in young Donna sings it in the new film, and it's kind of like reflective almost, and it almost feels like the reason that those are in the film are because it's kind of like it's meant to be reminding you of the original film, as opposed to like, oh, we're just doing the song again. Some critics have complained that the timeline is really unclear, and there are some inconsistencies between things people say in the first film and things people do in the second film. What's very confusing is it's not very clear when the first film happens, but we can sort of guess the era it's supposed to be set. So you flash back to Donna graduating from university. It says 1979, and she gets pregnant with Sophie in 1979, so we can sort of guess that Sophie's born in 1980, which means she's 20, because she's meant to be 20 when the first film happens. So the original film is set roughly around 2000, but it has a sort of timeless quality, doesn't it? There's not a lot of technology in it, and in the film,
and dungarees.
Yeah, and the fashion isn't particularly like, it doesn't remind you of any particular, except for the 70s, because obviously
it goes back to story. If there were technology, you would make use of it, then you'd have no story.
Yeah. But the new film is supposedly 5 years after the original events of Mamma Mia, but that will make it 2005, and people have tablets and iPhones and things. Also, the entire cast have aged about 10 years, so it would make it more... I don't know why they didn't just set it 10 years later, because that would make a lot more sense. Everyone has aged 10 years, everyone looks 10 years older, and everyone's using... Apart from Cher, because she doesn't age. And everyone's using relatively modern technology that was sort of around in 2010, so you could sort of kind of get away with it. So I'm pretending it's 2010.
With Mamma Mia... Who cares?
That's the thing. There are so many inconsistencies between the two. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into it, but there are certain things that the characters say in the first film. For example, Donna has a guitar which Harry gives to her, and there's a scene where we know that Harry's not going to see Donna again. He's still got his guitar in his back, and just certain things like that people have picked up on. Well, hang on a second. But also things like it's made out like Donna tells her two best friends, Tonia and Rosie, that she doesn't know who the dad is of her child, and they act quite shocked when she tells them there were two other men. But when you flash back to it in this film, they know that there were other men, so it's kind of strange. It's either they've forgotten this in the original film.
Does it answer the question? Because, spoilers, the original musical, you don't find who the father is.
No, you don't.
So we still don't know.
Still don't know who the father is.
Okay, so there's still room
that's
for a
not
third
important.
part.
The thing about this film is that's not important in this film. It's actually about the bond between mother and daughter, this film, and that's what's really moving in this film, because...
So they brought that theme and really honed it in.
Yeah, more in this film. And
what's interesting is the story isn't an original story, and people forget this. It's actually, thank you to Dom for telling me this, because he knows all about clapped out musicals. It's actually based on a film called Buonasera Mrs. Campbell. Then it was made into a musical called Carmelita, about a woman who doesn't know who the father of her daughter is, and there are three candidates. So it's like a sort of Jeremy Kyle show. And yeah, so just a little tidbit about Mamma Mia there, but as we say, who cares? You know, you go for the songs.
Well, that's the thing, and I think the people that are going to see this film, I'd be very surprised if anyone's really new to it and going into it, unless you're like a kid. You know, like I think a lot of parents may take their kids to see this, you know, because I think it's relatively kid friendly, bar one or two lines which I think will go over their head. There's one line in it which they're it's very explicit about a certain part of the female anatomy, but that would go over a kid's head. There is, you know, so I think it's very unlikely that many people will be going to this completely knowing nothing about Mamma Mia. Most people will be going to it because of it's a sequel to the original film and they're so excited. You know, I think it's come at a good time. People are quite down in the dumps about stuff that's going on in the world right now, and to be honest, you can go to the theatre for just short of 2 hours or however long the film is and have an absolute ball, and it's hilarious. This film is brilliant. Julie Walters, her comic timing is just amazing in this film. She's just fantastic, and she makes it worth watching. If you're not really into ABBA, go watch it for her because she's fab. And
Christina Baranski, of course,
she's great.
Is back.
I actually have to say, Lily James, who plays young Donna, is absolutely wonderful. Her singing is wonderful. She's so effervescent and fun. You say that the original plot of Mamma Mia is really ridiculous, and the fact that this woman has no idea who her daughter's father is, but when they flash back, you can sort of see why these three men would fall in love with Donna, because she's so fun to be around. I think Lily James really captures this young Donna beautifully. She's just so much fun to be around. How would you not want to be around Donna?
I want to know what happened to Amanda Seyfried's voice, because she sung quite well in the first film.
I think she's better in this.
And then in Les Mis, she just sounded like she was sat in a washing machine.
But it was all live, wasn't it?
Okay.
In Les Mis, it's all live. Like this
so,
is all.
Are we hearing any auto-tune in this, do we think?
I haven't listened to it carefully enough. I think there probably is some in there. She sings a beautiful duet. I won't say who with, but she sings a beautiful duet towards the end of the film. And she's got a lovely voice. I think it's just that this suits her better than Les Mis. I don't think that she was terrible in Les Mis. I just think that this music suits her better, and it suits Lily James. And it's funny because Lily James and Amanda Seyfried sound quite similar. And it's funny because
they look quite similar as well.
And Lily James is playing a young Donna, who obviously goes on to be the mum of Sophie. So it's all quite poignant, really. When you see, you know, young Donna singing some of the songs that Sophie sang in the original film, like I Have a Dream, for example. It's quite poignant when you hear her singing as a young person. You know that Sophie sang as a young person. I think the only thing, like I say, this film is very fun. It's also very poignant because, like I say, it brings back the mother-daughter thing and really, you know, drives home that theme. But it's quite sad to see some of the characters quite sad in this film. Like Sophie is quite effervescent and fun and, you know, lively in the first film, and like really young. And
well, it's their wedding, isn't it?
Yeah, but in this film she's just seemed quite sad and down, and it's quite sad to see that those very loved characters just a bit stressed and down in the dumps and not really very happy with their lives, because at the end of Mamma Mia it's like everything's going to be fine, and then you go to watch this film and it's actually quite sad because life's happened, and you know.
I mean, you make it sound like it's a lot more emotionally demanding than one would think it would be.
Take some tissues.
Okay.
You'll need your tissues.
I don't cry, no soul, so I won't cry, but I wanted to see it, and the minute I saw the trailer I thought I have to see this because it just looks so camp and fun.
It is camp and fun. People make fun of you know, the original performances from Pierce Brosnan because it's Colin Firth because the singing's not great, and in this film they do a lot less. You know, Colin Firth, he's doing his dad moves, but he knows he's doing his dad moves.
He's playing a character. You know.
Yeah, and Pierce Brosnan just sing a bit, but it's not completely grating on the ears this time. And the younger versions.
At least Russell Crowe isn't in it.
Well, the younger versions of all the characters, like Donna and all young Harry, young Bill, and young Sam, they're all really good. They're not actually musical theatre performers. I was quite surprised. I went away and looked away, and they're actors who can sing. And the singing's not like, for example, I really liked young Harry's performance. Hugh Skinner and Lily James do a duet of Waterloo in this restaurant, which is incredibly fun. The choreography, and he gets away with not being the most fantastic singer because his performance is so wonderful. It's so live. It's so energetic. I think these young performers can get away with it a little bit better because they have the energy and the enthusiasm a little bit more than some of these older performers. And there's a really funny duet where, you know, Christina, is it Baranski, and Julie Walters are grappling for who's actually singing the lead in this song, and it's just so funny because obviously Julie Walters isn't quite as good a singer as Christina Baranski. So.
I saw a documentary about Mamma Mia, and when Julie Walters got the call, her agent said, "Do you want to do a film with Meryl Streep?" Yes!
Yeah.
I don't care what it is, I'll do it even if I'm just in the background.
Well, that's it.
What's Meryl Streep like in this? Because she obviously was, the big draw.
I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
Don't want to spoil it. It's wonderful, but I don't want to spoil it. You have to see the film.
I do.
The thing I was most worried about was the fact that they would have to use songs which are not as well known. And we've already talked about this, and that they've used recycled songs from the old film. But I was so surprised that the songs that I didn't know were really fun and really good. Like, I didn't know majority of the new songs in it that are not popular ABBA songs, but I felt like I did. Because ABBA have this style which is so distinctive. It makes you, even if you don't know it, you sort of do.
It's like Queen. It's like Queen, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think that's why people like ABBA, and that's why they have such a big appeal to all ages and everyone, because you feel like you know it. There's a song in it that Lily James sings as young Donna called Andante Andante. And I was like, I feel like I've heard this before. Like, where have I heard this before? And I went home and looked it up, and it was only released in 2 countries. I think one of them was like Argentina or somewhere. Like, there's no way I've heard this song before. No way. But I felt like I had, because it's just so, it just oozes ABBA. None of the songs you think, God, that's awful, that's a second-rate ABBA song. They're actually quite good songs.
Nice. Most songs now are just like second-rate ABBA songs.
Do you know what? Actually, I listened to the soundtrack, and I was listening to Waterloo, and I just like, actually, this is a really clever song. The lyrics are really clever.
And it's amazing, Abby, you have to remember they are writing in a foreign language.
Yeah. For example, the Waterloo scene, the song is about, they use the analogy of a battle to sort of bring across the fact that the love feels, like he's so completely in love with this person, like he would have to surrender. That's clever. I can't think of any modern pop songs that are that clever. And the scene, he's like trying to persuade Donna to spend the night with him, so he's using it to try and like not seduce, but to try and persuade. And the lyrics lend itself really well to the plot. A lot of them are shoehorned in, and you think, but to be honest, because the movie is so ridiculous, you don't mind them shoehorning songs in. And this is often a problem with jukebox musicals. You feel a bit like things are shoehorned in. But, that worked really well in that scene. That song was perfect.
I remember, because I've only seen Mamma Mia once, and it was years and years and years and years ago when I was young at the Prince Edward Theatre. And it was such a new concept that it was still surprising to people. I remember when Chiquitita came on, and the audience just clapped.
Yeah.
Because it was so funny how they were able to put these songs in. So we weren't eye-rolling at it. We were absolutely laughing at it and saying, oh my God, this is brilliant.
Yeah. But that's the same thing I felt with Waterloo. It worked well in the scene.
But interestingly, Waterloo was never in the show.
No.
And it was only added as a curtain call
for the original film
afterwards. But there was a boat on the island called Waterloo. And that was the kind of reference to it.
See.
And then again, it wasn't in the film.
It was only like a curtain call. So they've used it for this.
But it was in, it's not their biggest song, Waterloo.
It's one of my favourite
even though it won them the Eurovision. But Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia, I think, are the two, and Money
which
Money.
are in this film and used in a different way. But there are some new songs that I really didn't know. So Andante Andante is quite fun. When I Kissed the Teacher is really fun, and that's, I don't know it, but it feels familiar. It feels like, what's the number in the original film that it's very similar to?
Does Your Mother Know?
Does Your Mother Know? It's really similar to that.
Same place as well?
No. Completely different.
Line.
It's not the same concept staging-wise, but it's a similar film. It's a similar number in style. I'm trying to think of some of the Angel Eyes. I actually don't know whether I know it already. It's just ABBA. That's the problem. It feels familiar, and the way that they stage it is so much fun that you're not thinking all the way through the song, I can't listen to this because I don't know this one. You're just enjoying it.
Has it inspired you to listen to the actual songs?
The actual songs, yeah. Well, I know a lot of them anyway.
But the ones you don't know?
Yeah, I'll go back and listen to them.
But yeah, so that's Mamma Mia 2. Here we go again.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to go. Would you go again?
I would go again.
Should we go?
But I'm just really reluctant to pay £17 to go in London when I went for £7. No, how much did I pay in Leeds? £5.17 in Leeds to go to the cinema. We'll go see a show for that.
We'll work something out. I know you sit in the back row wicked for that. Tonia, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on Mamma Mia, and I'll have you on again soon.
Bye.
For more information about Musical Talk, please visit our website at musicaltalk.co.uk. You can email us at feedback@musicaltalk.co.uk, listen to past episodes on iTunes and YouTube, and follow our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.